Mhm. Hi everyone. How did you stop from losing hope when you weren't getting better? Now, are you talking, how far are you talking back? Like, because it depends, you know. Through the years when I wasn't really committed to recovery, or I didn't really understand everything that I knew now, I lost hope all the time. That's why I was ill for so long. But when I made all the changes and, you know, I wasn't seeing the changes that I hope I would see after a month, 2 months, I just knew that. So this is something I talked about on a Skype chat with somebody not long ago. I tried to be a person my future self would be proud of, you know. I never gave up because I knew that making good positive changes in my life weren't going to hinder me in recovering. And I wanted recovery more than anything. So I did everything I could day in, day out, made good changes. And, you know, if I wasn't seeing the results I wanted straight away, it didn't deter me because I knew that making positive changes wasn't going to make my body any worse. Hi, Honeybee. Hi, N. Cure for anxiety. Flatline ED help. Right, okay. Okay, so firstly, anxiety is it's a real mix of things, you know. I had severe anxiety. Okay, firstly, the first point I'd like to make is you're not in control over your anxiety most of the time, you know. JH, do you have a chronic illness? Do you feel tired all the time? Have you got sleep problems? Stuff like that. Because if you have poor sleep, that's really going to affect your anxiety as well. There's lots of things that affect anxiety, and becoming a healthier person helps a lot when it comes to anxiety. Why do you think most recovery stories, resources regarding CFS usually come out of the UK or Australia? I don't know. Don't know. I have no idea why that would be. Hey James, I'm in the middle of recovery, a bit to go. One symptom left is struggling to concentrate, and fatigue grows when I try to do so. Like, I feel a strain in my forehead. Do you have this? Yeah, I used to have that a lot. I've never really thought about it like that, but yes, I had that a lot. So it's you still have kind of brain fog symptoms. Do you wake up feeling refreshed? Do you have fatigue? Can you go and exercise and stuff like that? Oh, how's your sleep, Mark? What are your thoughts on a ketogenic diet? You know, I don't dismiss ketogenic diets as such. It depends on what illness you have. I know that if you have things like epilepsy, ketogenic diets have been found to help people with things like epilepsy. But from when I was ill and I used to constantly be looking at other people's stories, a lot of times people with severe adrenal fatigue, ketogenic diets will make their symptoms worse. But it really depends on what it is that's wrong with you. Honeybee said that the UK and Australia have better minerals. That is probably true. I know that a lot of things that are banned in the EU aren't banned in America. For example, certain pesticides, chemicals that are used on foods and stuff that are fine. GMO, for example, isn't allowed to be grown in the EU yet, while in America it is. Maybe Americans are getting hit harder through their food and stuff. Any help for PTSD? JH, if you answer what you answer before, I was asking how is your sleep? Like, is your sleep okay? Amongst other things. When you were unwell, did you review your own blood results? Doctors say things are normal when people are not. I definitely had a fair share of blood test results, and I did kind of check them myself, but for example, things like B12 was out of the national average. But in the end, I stopped worrying too much about things like blood tests and stuff, and I just focused on doing as much as I could. Yeah, I do wake up refreshed. Symptoms then come as the day goes on. Sleep is getting a lot better. You're a gent. Thanks for taking the time. Mark, okay. What I will say is, how long have you been on the recovery journey? Because I know that if you look back in my older videos, even when I started my YouTube channel, I was like, I've recovered now. I can go walk. I have no brain fog, stuff like that. But what I noticed was about even half a year into making my YouTube channel, I started getting snowball effects week after week, feeling better and better and better, to the point where I started feeling like a 12-year-old kid. So time and consistency really pays off when you're making positive changes. How often did you fap at your peak? Serious lol. Did you notice any physical side effects? I can't say if I had any physical side effects because I was ill. You know, I wouldn't be able to tell you 100% what was causing what, but at my peak, it's probably a bit embarrassing to say. You know, it was very sporadic. Are you completely free from social anxiety? Would things like presentations not bother you? Starting new jobs? I want to get back to university, but anxiety is too intense in class. I at college I do presentations. For example, I went to a police officers meeting and I was stood in front of a bunch of people asking question after question. I have no anxiety anymore. At my worst, my anxiety was severe. I didn't leave my house. So absolutely you can get back to that. But it takes time. I'm not out of college yet. I'm finishing in a couple of months. I plan to finish earlier and get the work done soon. Low vitamin D absolutely can cause problems. I used to just cover all my bases. I took a vitamin D supplement each day. I've been consistent for 8 months, but severe pain from injuries gets me depressed. How can I change this? What injuries are those? Is this from like a car crash or something like that? But yeah, on the anxiety thing, it's amazing. I'm gonna do a video on mental health awareness and talk about the big elephant in the room, and that is that your overall health dictates kind of your mental health. You know, I was literally felt suicidal, didn't want to leave my house, would get adrenaline rush if I heard the door go, and you know, if I went to the doctor, they'd probably give me benzos or something like that, and not address the root cause. When I fixed my health, that anxiety, the intensity of that anxiety faded and faded month after month. Thanks, mate. That's made me very hopeful. I'm studying with the Open University at the moment, but I want to do masters at a normal uni. Cheers once again, bro. No problem, Paul. You can absolutely get back to that. A lot of mental health problems like anxiety and depression and stuff can have underlying causes that you have no control over. How to find employment when depressed or socially anxious? I think you kind of have to address why it is that you're feeling anxious. Like, if your overall health is, there's loads of reasons for anxiety. I'd have to go into a person by person basis of what it is that's causing you that kind of social anxiety. Is it because you fear judgment from other people? Is it because you just have anxiety, you're not even sure why? Do you have anxiety about your future? Do you have OCD? There's so many different things that you have to think about, and you can address it different ways. Have you any experience with intermittent fasting? Yeah, I'd say so. When if on my videos when I did my weight loss, I was kind of doing intermittent fasting then. I felt quite good on intermittent fasting after recovery. During recovery, it was a no-go for me. I needed constant, food, to be honest. If I go for a walk, I'll often have crash-like symptoms. If I stay sedentary all day, I'll have other symptoms like ache and malaise. How did you find a balance between rest and activity? Say you go for a walk, how long are you going for a walk? What duration of a walk are you going for? Maybe you are doing too much too soon. As for if you're sedentary all day, maybe you can, like I would, move around the house, for example, not have to go for a walk. It really depends on where you are. Maybe your aches and malaise are coming after eating periods. Maybe you're reacting to something you're eating. Thanks, man. It's a long story with my recovery process so far. I will share at some stage. But in terms of acceptance that I need to recover properly, 2 months with reducing symptoms. That's great. Torn pec muscle and torn bicep in gym. Inoperable as they have in rare cases. It's what started the spiral, then the crash on my health. Damn, yeah, that's horrible. That really is horrible. I know that, obviously, like, a lot of people put a lot of base a lot of who they are when it comes to exerting themselves in the gym, and if you feel like that's been taken away from you, that can obviously have a mental impact. But when it comes to, I don't know enough about things like injuries. I'm going to a physiotherapist at the moment for my injury. It's some kind of nerve damage up here that I had in a car crash. But you can always look at it would be better, rather than asking me when it comes to stuff like that, is to ask someone that's been through the same thing. I know that I was reading the other day of a guy that had dislocated his shoulder like 5 times during I think he was a calisthenic guy, and he dislocated his arm so many times, and he was trying all these alternative ways to strengthen his shoulder. It's probably best to listen to someone like that. Have a look on Google for people that have torn muscles. So glad you're still making videos and doing live streams. You've helped me so much in my recovery. That's awesome, Jasmine. Fear of judgment. Yeah, fear of judgment is a massive one. Okay, so firstly, things that help me with fear of judgment. Firstly, understand that most people are so self-conscious of themselves, they're probably not even thinking about you. Secondly, get to a space where you're proud of yourself. So when I recovered and I lost all that weight and I felt good about myself, having achievements like that bumped my self-confidence up. Just realizing that in the grand scheme of things, nothing's really that important. Things you're going to do, say you go out and ask for a job interview, is getting rejected in the grand scheme of things, it's that much of a big deal, you know, putting things into perspective. But I definitely think that getting your achievements up and, or, you know, getting healthy first and foremost, but getting some, like, things you're proud of. So gym, you know, people think it's just about looking better, but it's not. It's about your self-confidence in yourself and making those achievements. You know, for me, when I started, I couldn't do a girl push-up on my knees. I was so weak. And then I was doing 30 kilograms knuckle push-ups with a 30-kilogram vest on for 10 reps after a year and a half. And then you just feel more confident for it. It's just another thing to add to feeling better about yourself. What would you say is the biggest struggle currently, personal development-wise? I definitely would say this year, even though I've not been physically active because of my injury, I mean, I've just done walking, a bit of running here and there, but I stopped all upper body activity, and because of my all or nothing attitude, I stopped going to the gym. That was a mistake, but I've definitely developed a lot as a person this year. You know, not being able to escape problems through activity has caused me to sit through them. And, you know, I've not really done a video on this. I'm not sure if I want to yet, but I really went for a massive self-development stage this year. And yeah, what's my biggest struggle currently? That's a tough one. I feel like maybe knowing exactly what I want, but I guess it's hard to say, you know. Like, not many people know exactly what they want. Maybe it's taking some advice from my previous self and being okay in the moment more. I feel a lot of pressure on myself to just get a job and get, you know, get money and everything as soon as possible, and I put a hard time on myself. Maybe I need to do what I can. I need to get rid of this all or nothing attitude again, because I used to, you know, during recovery I got rid of it because it was necessary for my recovery. But when I was able to go to the gym as much as I wanted, constant energy, never let up on energy, to then having an injury, I was like, well, if I can't do all or nothing, then I just can't be bothered. And I think that's really wrong. So maybe I need to work on that. No, I need to work on that. What does Nofap mean? Basically, yeah, what Cinema said. Pick up an outdoor passion like photography. Photography has helped me. I'm also often confused because I read a lot about high-carb diets being bad if you have mitochondrial issues, but at the same time, I'm sure that eating meat and dairy every day won't make it any better. Okay, so when I went through a phase like you did, like high-carb diets are bad. I was eating loads of eggs, loads of raw dairy products, even was starting to eat meat and everything, and I ate meat for about 2 weeks. It wasn't really a long time, but I was reading all these recovery stories and people on YouTube that were thriving. Their health was amazing. They were doing more activity than I could ever imagine, and they were a lot of the people were vegan, and they were going whole foods. You know, no dairy. You know, no eggs. Like, a lot of people that I saw, it was either vegan or paleo. Like, I didn't see many people having gluten and dairy, like, at all. So that was like, okay, that's a given. I need to get that out of my diet. But I don't know, I just felt a pull towards veganism for other issues. And I think potentially this is something I've just thought about, that the idea of being involved in something that was a good cause may have played a role in helping me feel better about myself, maybe. I don't know. People say high-carb diets are bad, but if you go on YouTube and look at people that have recovered from adrenal fatigue, you'll find plenty of people that recovered on high-carb. Whole foods, of course, you know, not the refined junk. So, yeah, I just ate a whole food diet, you know. Views on going vegan. That's a whole nother video. There's so many reasons why I went vegan. But yeah, I think it's something that you have to kind of explore yourself, like understand what goes into your food first and foremost. Look at where meat and dairy comes from, and look at the practices they use in those industries. Look at the industries that look how those industries fund the medical literature. You know, all these different things. They make money out of animals. You know, you don't have to pay the animals, and it's very profitable business for the most part. And they make a lot of money and get a lot of subsidies and stuff, especially in America. Obviously, you have all the documentaries like Forks Over Knives and things like that that made me make my decision as well. I don't know, it was just something new to try as well. And, you know, I made it for multiple reasons. I made the choice to go vegan, and it ended off being the best thing I could have done. Can you think of any other good recovery stories that you could point us towards? Genuine recovery stories are very encouraging, while questionable recovery stories are frustrating. Yeah, there's a few people on YouTube I know that are very questionable. You know, they have coffee, they smoke, they drink alcohol, they have, you know, I don't know, they don't seem genuine. I'll have to think of, you know what, I might repost recovery stories that I listen to during recovery. How does cortisol not turn on in the morning but in the evening, but cortisol turns on just fine? What can I do about this? You have to sort out your sleeping rhythm. You've obviously got into a rhythm where you stay up till 10, 11, the cortisol second wave hits, and you ride it out until 1, 2 in the morning. I say it every time, but what's his name? Sean Stevenson did a podcast called Sleep Smart. It's the best hour you can spend when it comes to sleep, just for information wise. Do you think chronic fatigue syndrome is a modern illness caused by a modern lifestyle? Has it been going on for centuries? I think it's probably I won't say that I don't know if it's been going on for centuries, but I will say that the modern lifestyle has probably caused it to happen more often. We're not listening to our bodies. We're eating food that's just utter shit. You know, just so many things. Oh, I think it's just the way we're living right now isn't conducted to health at all. You know, people working extremely long hours, going to bed late, eating junk food, you know, watching technology before bed, being engaged constantly all the time, never fully relaxing. I think all those problems, all those things cause this kind of problem. How did you use grapefruit extract to fix Candida in the gut? No. When is your story about the effects of video games coming out? Yeah, I'll have to get around to doing that. What do you think about yoga when severely ill? I didn't do yoga, but if I felt like moving a bit, I would just kind of, not yoga, but just kind of, you know, do certain movements I felt relief with, if that makes sense. How long did it take until you could push your body physically to the max from being able to? Probably a year and a half. I think a year and a half after the very beginning is when I did I did 70, what was it, 140, 150, 160 mile bike ride over 2 days. And that's when I knew I'm over it. I've just recovered for real. Oh, that's awesome, Brandon. What did you do? Brandon, what's your story? How did you fall ill? How long were you? And what was the recovery like? Okay, that's cool, Jasmine. Do you think that going gluten-free, vegan, and drinking wort kefir is enough to heal the gut problems with leaky gut? Do you think that going gluten-free? Well, I think that's what I did. I start to question the water kefir thing now, whether it was that or just my diet. I don't know. But I think it definitely helps, but it depends on the person. It depends on how bad your gut sensitivities are. You know, some people have such bad leaky gut they can barely tolerate anything, and that's what I did my fasting video in, because I'm thinking, if I was in that situation and my adrenal fatigue was under control, kind of, it wasn't severe, and I was sleeping okay, I would probably turn to fasting to try and fix my problems. But again, it depends on the person. It's a very tricky subject, I'm starting to realize. Did you drink celery juice? It helped heal my gut in 2 months. I didn't drink celery juice, no. I went vegan, bad mistake. I've gone backwards, breathless, etc. Pulps. Found out I'm anemic. Yeah, like, I know it really depends. There's quite a few doctors that talk about that subject when it comes to iron, and there's definitely ways around it. I spent the last 3 weeks in utter despair. I've never used to cry, but recently I was howling all the time in pain, was severely suicidal, but have recently tried gentle yoga to try reduce anxiety. I don't know. What changes have you made so far, Esme? Because I know we spoke on one of the live streams before. How has it been in the since then, in the past month, whatever it was? When in your recovery did you start to school studying again? I have 8 months till school starts, and my parents probably won't let me take another year off school. Oh well. Okay, so in 8 months, it depends on the severity. How severe are you? If you're not that severe and you've come already away, I think that in 8 months of sticking to your routine as much as possible and getting good sleep and everything, that you could return to school. But it's also important to keep those routines going. It totally depends on the situation. Where are you right now? Not many people know that chronic cortisol damages the gut lining, causing leaky gut, one of the main reasons why stress is so bad for health. Stress is absolutely the #1 cause of the #1 most damaging thing for your health. So I think when it comes to gut health, maybe it wasn't my water kefir consumption. Maybe it was the fact that I was getting into a relaxation state and my cortisol was going back to normal. Possibly. Thanks for the comment, Chakan. Casey, I was sick for 5 years. James, you helped me tons. Thank you. Did tons of things you recommended. Quit loads of meds, tramadol, anti-anxiety, went vegan, quit coffee, etc. Oh, that's awesome, Brenda. I need to. I've had a lot of comments, like in private messages and you know, just messages in general of people have since listening to me in the past year and a half. They're starting to. They've recovered. Some people it's like 6 months. Some people it's like a year, and they're finally feeling the benefits of making all the positive changes. And this is why it's not that popular, because it takes time. It really does take time. And also you have to kind of, you know, I'm not going to have the answer for every single one of you, because everyone has come to this and has different weaknesses. Some people, for example, I had severe adrenal fatigue, like insomnia, everything else. I had poor gut health that I had to fix, but I wasn't at the point where I was literally sensitive to, you know, this many foods. You know what I mean? These people, and I don't know how you go about fixing that. I've been vegan for 2 years, been at home for 8 months, read Power now, but have still been in despair. How is your sleep, Esme? Obviously, you're in a lot of mental distress, which is no good, you know. Being stressed out is keeping you in that state of just, you know, You need to get to a stage of like almost acceptance. I know it's horrible to hear that, but that's what I had to do as well. I had to get to a point where I was acceptance of my situation. I turned off all social media, didn't listen to anyone, just focused on my life and getting it to where I want it to be. Practical steps was literally my sleep routine, was getting to bed, like turning all electricity off and technology at 8:30, having a detox bath, unwinding, having candles on, let's say, listening to an audiobook and sticking to that routine, resting in bed in the mornings, getting up, not putting stress on myself. If I wake up in the night, not stressing out about that, removing toxic people from my life, controlling the environment I was in. Just, it's everything. That's good, honeybee. What symptoms do you have now? Like, what is your current symptoms? I think I find it disconnecting from social media makes me very, very depressed. See? That's not good. I don't know enough about your... I'm not saying don't... Like, I used social media, for example, to hear recovery stories, to give me hope. But things like Twitter, Instagram, all those kind of things, I just got out of my life. Well, I didn't even own a phone. I just used YouTube and stuff for positive stories. I feel benefits as well. I was so bad anxiety-wise. Lifestyle changes are most important. Some supplements help though. Absolutely, they do. My dad is 84, I'm 17, so maybe I do care for him more than I think and do, and lots of housework. Well, that's obviously you're in a stressful environment as well. I think you were talking about going abroad or to New Zealand or something, and I was saying that most people in any chat that I've been on would love for a situation like that, to have a kind of new fresh start, or a time to completely relax. But at the same time, I know that I don't know enough about you. It's kind of, you're gonna have to kind of figure it out for yourself. Current symptoms during period: breathless, palpitations, tiredness. I think this is low iron. I need an infusion. Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Because obviously you're losing iron through your period. Yeah. What was your iron results? What is it called? It's like ferritin levels or something like that. When not on period, I feel okay. Can walk a few miles and do trips away. That's good. Is the stimulation of video games, or is the dopamine release that is not good for chronic fatigue? It's both. If you're trying to regulate your dopamine receptors, it's not good, and obviously the stimulation keeps you wired. You can't feel relaxed when playing Call of Duty, let's say. It's going to keep you on edge. Hemoglobin, ferritin 4, that's really low, isn't it? I have my blood test results somewhere. I'm sure that's really low. Esme, it is a very difficult thing to sort out. It's very easy for me to say this, but it took me years to finally, you know, come to the conclusion that I came to, and was able to get myself out of the situation. It took me years to finally understand it. So it's very good for me to just say, this is what you do. But that's after me struggling for 7 years. Hey James, can you talk about fasting, specifically the first few days? I'm building myself up to a fast, just out of curiosity. I'm going to document it. I've been eating 1 meal a day. But I will say that I won't recommend it for people that have, feel wired, poor sleep and stuff, because it will just make it worse. It did for me when I tried anyway. But the first few days, I think it's like hunger-wise, it really depends. It's like the first, I remember, I think day 3 is probably the worst. I watched a fasting documentary on Amazon. Yeah, okay. It is true. You have to be careful with fasting because it's different for everyone. Some people might not be able to tolerate fasting at all. It can depend on a wide variety of things. Don't take my word for it. You know, obviously I have to cover myself, but I'm just saying that if you have severe gut issues, it may help to have a look into it. But it was very interesting, the documentary on Amazon. You know, what kind of things people go through. They said on the documentary as well that it was day 3 is the most difficult for food cravings. When you say you can't tolerate food, says me, what do you mean? What happens when you eat anything? Because obviously you sound very mentally distressed, like you're upset and everything, and obviously when you're in that kind of stressed out zone, your body's not going to digest very well, you know. So obviously that can cause gut problems. There's so many different elements to this. It's why it takes a long time. Right. Did you do a liver cleanse to get rid of chemicals out of the body? I tried these liver cleanses and I don't recommend them at all. Severe bloating and reflux when on empty stomach. I'm vegan, low food map, still in agony and find eating miserable. Okay, that's no good. Yeah, that's definitely not good, Esme. Maybe you aren't tolerating something you're eating. Maybe it is stress as well, because stress affects your gut health as well. It's very difficult to come to a conclusion just through seeing, you know, what you type on the screen. I feel better after fasting, but I've come to very thin after the illness and still lose weight, so not sustainable for me. You know, that's also a problem if you're low body fat. Esme, if you're still really ill, be careful about fasting. I made my illness 10 times worse from fasting and detox. Everyone is different. I know it helps me. Okay. I will say, what I will say is that during my recovery and throughout my recovery, I did not fast at all. I didn't fast. I ate 3-4 times a day. And that was what helped my adrenal fatigue. So, I was the same with Emma. I felt worse fasting. So, you have to be careful when you think about doing this. My fasting suggestion was literally as a potential lead for someone that has very, very severe leaky gut or gut issues. How come I don't recommend liver cleanses? Because I think I used to do the Epsom salt, you know, olive oil, apple juice thing that took about 5-6 days, where you flush out these supposed stones. I just think it's a load of shit. I've done 3 or 4 of them. You know, the last time I did it, I woke up and projectile vomited, and then I was like, this ain't right. This is not normal. That's true as well, Emma. If, you know, your mental health is completely impacted by your gut health. Yeah, I ate constantly during recovery. For whatever reason, that really helped settle me down. See you later, William. Yeah, I'll turn off the stream soon. We've got a Christian Crusader. I don't know how to block him. Oh right, yeah, okay. I put him in the timeout. I'm so grateful for these live streams, but I do find they dramatically increase anxiety and lose my sense of hope. But why, Esme? There's people that have just been in the chat saying they've improved a lot. I think if that's how you really feel, I would suggest don't watch them then. Like, if it doesn't help you, it doesn't help you. It really is difficult to find the answer for yourself, and you're just at the beginning of, like, trying to figure it out, and it takes time. It really does. I think that you have to get to a point where you know that you know how you're feeling right now. You know how you're feeling right now. You know, all it's doing is distressing you, and it's not actually achieving what you want, which is towards recovery. And you kind of have to realize that I know it's distressing your situation you're in right now, but you can't do anything about it right now. You can't recover overnight. You have to kind of accept it. I've been eating a lot of oranges recently. Do you think having 4 or 6 oranges a day is too much? My personal opinion is no. Well, you feel like giving up, Esme, because you still don't understand what you have to do to recover. And that's understandable. So, you know, you see these people recovering and you're stuck at the beginning line and you're not sure what to do. And you feel hopeless in your situation and you have other things that are on your mind. So you feel a bit lost, maybe. That's understandable. You don't have to understand your anxiety. If you have poor health, it's going to be there. Just understand that it's not who you are. Did you have anxiety growing up at like age 8, 9, 10 or whatever? How did you beat sugar cravings? What replacement foods did you use? Right, okay. I stuck to natural sugars as much as possible, and that helped. You know, a lot of people I talk to, they give up refined sugars and fruit and everything, and then eventually they always crash and binge on chocolate filled with sugar and everything. So things like dates helped my sugar cravings, as in to replace refined shit. Like small smoothies that I'd make at home with like organic berries and banana. A bit of maple syrup, like really dark grade maple syrup. Things like oranges and clementines. I had a lot of health anxiety when I was at my worst. You should check out Dennis Simsek on YouTube. He helped me a lot. Have you really been watching my videos for 3 years, Esme? Does it even been 3 years that I've been on YouTube? I don't even know. Well, there you go. You were extremely energetic and happy as a kid. So was I. You can always get back there. The way you're feeling right now is a symptom of how your body's health, not who you are as a person. It's just because you feel helpless, Esme, that's all. Yeah, don't put your pressure on yourself to sleep, don't put your pressure on yourself to recover, you know, all these different things. That's awesome, Emma. Esme, that's completely understandable. I was the same. Did you have a strange chest sensation when ill? I cannot describe it. A breathlessness despite breathing well. Like huge effort needed to despite tests, nothing. Dio, go in my very first video and notice that I had like a almost, even though I was recovered, it took until probably 6, 8, whatever, how many months it was before it to go. I used to have like a breathlessness sensation. Absolutely. I have no idea to this day what that was about. Even when I was being hospitalized in the past, I would play them to calm my heart a bit. I sometimes get constipated and think it's from laying down all the time. Did you ever have that problem? No, Kathy, I didn't personally. That's good, Brian. I think depression and anxiety are to do with, it's both. I think that you can talk to a shrink and a psychologist all you want for week after week, month after month, but if you have underlying health conditions, you will not improve. However, if you get yourself healthy and then go from there, you know, so turns out when I fully recovered, my anxiety wasn't much of a problem at all. You know, I had a bit of anxiety, but it was nothing that I couldn't deal with. It wasn't extreme. I think that depression, obviously you have to fix your gut and everything, and then you become a more balanced human being, but depression absolutely can be a mix of everything. It can be a state of mind too. Oh, Esme. Sounds like you're trying to exhaust yourself out. You've got so many problems you have to think about already, and now you're dreaming up more. This looks like you're trying to stress yourself out. Any tips for constipation? I eat gluten and free dairy free mostly, and I have a lot of fruit and veg, but seem to be blocked up sometimes. I never had that problem, so I'm not sure why that is. Do you drink enough water? See, for example, I don't think you'll ever find a person who is vibrant, energetic, huge, full of energy, that is severely anxious and depressed. Do you see what I mean? And that's exactly how I felt when I was at my healthiest and felt my best. You know, anxiety was just nothing. I'm not sure, James. Really not sure. Yeah, it's me. The good thing that you have is that you're 18. You know, I was dealing with it up until 25. Right, I'll answer a few more questions and then I'll turn the live stream off. But yeah, I'm going to do a video about that because I think, like, for example, I did some volunteering at Mind. It's a mental health charity, and you know, they talk about awareness and everything, but the thing people really aren't talking about is actually the health of your body. You cannot have a very healthy, amazing mental health, you know, feel great with a decaying body. Just doesn't happen. I have so much energy now. I'd love to help others with CFS. What do you think I can do? Is there anything I can do to help you? I feel like I owe you. Brandon, make me a video and I'll put it on my channel, and then you can create your own channel. How about that? I saw a counsellor for 6 years, but because I'm still ill, my mood stayed the same. My mum keeps wanting me to see a psychologist. I will say it doesn't hurt to go to a psychologist. You know, it can be a bit demeaning sometimes if they don't understand. But to help through some worries you have or whatever, it's not a bad thing. That's true what Dio said. I was the same as me growing up. People always thought I was older than my years. How did you go for a healing crisis? No, see, when I was sorting out, I didn't do extremely, you know, the biggest changes I made were, you know, completely reforming my routine for sleep, removing problematic foods. I never did any of this, you know, going from eating a standard diet to juice fasting to have some kind of health crisis. I just had slow, steady improvements over time. And it was much more stable for my body. I think it's why I was able to recover from such severe adrenal fatigue. How long did it take me to last question on social anxiety, how long did it take to heal to a point where you could function? I think it was about a year. And then I still held back on, fully going head first into life again for another 6 months. But then by, I think, what was it? I think it was May. Can't remember exactly when it was, but yeah, probably a year and a half I gave myself. I didn't want to rush myself. I spent too long getting myself well to jump in the deep end. In the final stages of recovery, but still kind of hesitant to push. Although I'm still doing bodyweight exercises and physiotherapy, I'm still mentally holding myself back. That's understandable, Richard, and it's awesome that you're feeling better. That's really awesome. Yeah. When it comes to, I held myself back. I think that, how long have you been in the position where you've been holding yourself back? There's no reason to rush into things. I would say that holding yourself back from things like running is a positive thing, especially in the first half year of recovery. It's very strenuous on the body. But, push yourself a bit more, see how you feel over the next 3 or 4 days, then do it again. That's how I did it. And then when I did that bike ride of 150 miles over 2 days or whatever it was, 160, I was like, I can push myself. I don't have to worry anymore. That's true what Emma said. Yeah, that sounds about right, Richard. A year. It's pretty much the same as me. Well, that's awesome. Just quickly, before I end the stream, what kind of changes did you make? Did you just change everything, like I talk about? Recovery is absolutely slow. Some people it may be fast, but if you've had a problem for many years, it takes more than a couple of months to get over it. It took you more than a few months to get there. See, Esme, you need to get out of that state of mind where you're dreading this day coming up that you're not going to be ready for. It's the mindset you're in right now is not helping you. I have problems speaking clearly to people. I find I freeze a lot and can't get words out. So frustrating. Is that to do with anxiety? I think that's maybe to do with your confidence, Ben. I think that if you like things that would help, like work out, read books, you know, being a bit accomplished with yourself. Are you still ill? If you're still ill, then it's understandable that you're feeling that hesitant feeling. Look at my first video, Ben. Go and have a look at my first video after this live stream and look how, like, timid I am. And that was just me with a camera, let alone in real life with a person. It's completely different now. Alright, Jasmine, I'll have a look at your channel. I'll subscribe, actually. But yeah, slow, steady gains at best. It's like a good foundation. When you don't sleep, the anxiety goes through the roof. Okay, Brandon, that's cool. What you need to do is you need to upload it, make it on. Oh no, you can just leave it on your channel, and I'll download it and then put it on my channel, link to your channel and everything. And likewise for Richard and anyone else that wants to do a video. A lot of people don't want to do it. That's fine, obviously. Esme, I'm obviously not a teenager, but I remember it was like being ill when I was young. Feel free to message me on Grape. I'd definitely take Emma up on that, Esme. That's awesome, Richard. Really cool. And that is absolutely true. Worst thing you can do when you can't sleep is worry about the fact that you can't sleep, because then you really won't sleep. Okay, awesome, Richard. Right, guys, I'll leave the stream now. But yeah, thanks for coming on the channel and everything. It's good. It's really good. I'm glad to hear so many people getting better. That's awesome. Yeah, if you enjoyed the stream, give it a thumbs up and everything. Let me know if you liked it in the comments or whatever. Alright, guys. Thank you.